All right, let's go to college football playoff predictions. I mean, goodness gracious. I went through the college football playoff numbers this week, and I don't know what the heck's going to happen. I think I know what the committee will do on Tuesday night, but we still have the conference championship games to play, and that's when things get really interesting. So I'm just going to give you my top 14. These are the top 14 teams I think will be in the college football playoff rankings come Monday night or Tuesday night, excuse me. Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, Georgia 3, Texas Tech 4, Oregon 5, A&M loses, drops to 6th. I'm going to drop Ole Miss a spot to 7 because of the Lane Kiffin thing. Oklahoma 8, Notre Dame 9, Alabama 10, BYU 11, Miami 12, Vandy 13, Texas 14. Now, I think the top 8 is a lock to be in the field. Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, Texas Tech, Oregon, A&M, Ole Miss, Oklahoma. Those teams are in the college football playoff. Period. End of story. There's some question about Alabama. If they lose to Georgia in the SEC championship game and it's a bad loss, 2 touchdowns plus, I could see the committee dropping them out. However, it is really tough to penalize them for playing an extra game in the toughest conference against a top 5 team. If the regular season ended today, they're in. I don't see a lot of scenarios where they're not in. It has to be a hellacious blowout for Georgia, which could happen, but I don't know. I still think Bama deserves to get in. I really think they're a top 5 team in the country, frankly. They just haven't played well over the last 4 or 5 weeks. They hit their stride midseason, and then they ran out of gas. And I think when you run out of gas in college football in the SEC, you run out of gas. So I do think we have a lot of questions that need to be answered. And who knows, maybe they beat Georgia. And then there's no question. The Notre Dame debate is fascinating. Power ratings-wise, they're a top 5 team, maybe even a top 3 team. I saw one power rating that I trust that had them as the number 2 team in the country. But are we talking about best team or most deserving? Because Miami beat them head-to-head. And Vandy's 10-2 with some really good wins and definitely deserves to be in the conversation as well. So I honestly think Notre Dame's probably in, but that is a conversation that really is intriguing. If they're kissed up against Miami in the rankings and Miami's out and Notre Dame's in and Miami beat Notre Dame, it's really tough to justify that. I mean, unless the committee's just going to set the precedent that head-to-head does not matter and quality losses matter more, if you're valuing quality losses over head-to-head, then yeah, Notre Dame should be in. Because Notre Dame lost to Miami and Texas A&M, and Miami lost to Louisville and SMU. So, obviously, Notre Dame's got better losses. But Miami beat Notre Dame head-to-head. It's a really weird argument. I actually hope they do finish right next to each other in the rankings because it will be a precedent moment for the committee to tell us for certain if the head-to-head is irrelevant in college football, which it very well could be. Texas, they'll be the highest 3-loss team, but Texas, the argument for Texas getting into the college football playoff is like the girl you date that has that one glaring red flag that you're ignoring. Oh, she's hot, she's fun, she makes me feel all the things, but she lost to 4-win Florida as a favorite. So we can't put her in the playoff. Like, I think, and it's their 3rd loss. I just don't think there's an argument for Texas. I really don't. The bid stealer here is BYU. So BYU plays Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship game this week. Obviously, Texas Tech 2-touchdown favorite. Like, we think they're going to win the game. But if BYU wins, and it's close, BYU steals a bid from someone because then you got to put Texas Tech in and you got to put BYU in. So the Big 12 championship game, the Alabamas, the Notre Dames, the Miamis, they will be watching that game very closely, and they will be big Texas Tech fans. I did do a brief preview of championship week. I'll be honest, I don't see a ton of value on the board. I think the most intriguing game is the UNLV Boise game. So Boise won that game 56-31 a few weeks ago, and the game went way over the total of 60.5. And this total is lower at 57.5. So I was on the over in the UNLV game on Saturday night. It hit a parlay for me. I would probably bet the over in this game too. UNLV Boise over 57.5, I think, is probably going to be a bet. I'm sorry, guys. My nose is just so runny right now. If you're watching the stream and you're actually seeing me like pick my nose during each take, you probably think I'm the grossest person alive. That's fair. You tried doing an hour-long podcast when you're sick. Georgia's a 2.5-point favorite over Bama. Obviously, Bama won the first game on the road as a dog. Total was 54. Now it's 47.5, which I think more reflects what these two teams are at this point. But I would not be shocked if that game goes over. I actually think the first game should have went over. There were a bunch of opportunities for both teams, especially Georgia in the red zone couldn't figure anything out. I think that game goes over. I think I'm going to be betting a couple overs in these conference championship games. The BYU-Texas Tech game, Texas Tech stuffed them into a locker in that first game. 29-7 was the final. They were a 13.5-point home favorite. Now they're a 13.5-point neutral site favorite. Probably laying off that game. I think Texas Tech wins, but maybe doesn't cover. Big Ten, Indiana, Ohio State. We'll get to this game a little more in the Heisman prediction, but these teams have not played since last year when Ohio State ended Indiana's undefeated regular season. Both of these teams are comfortably in the playoff. They're both undefeated. They're both going to the playoff. The only thing this is going to determine is who gets the bye and who doesn't. And if you ask Ohio State last year, maybe the bye doesn't help. So I don't know what to make of this game. I honestly don't. I think Ohio State's the better team, but last year they won the national championship and they didn't have a bye. Does that play into their minds at all? Do they throttle down at all? Do they not want to show anything too much? Like I don't know which team is going to go full on to win this game. I think Indiana will be, like if I had to gauge it, Indiana's going to give 100% and Ohio State's going to give like 95. And maybe that's enough for Indiana to cover. The ACC's a freaking mess, bro. UVA's a 3-point favorite against Duke. UVA won this game by 17 2 weeks ago as a 5-point road dog. Game stayed under the total of 60. The disaster scenario for the ACC is Duke winning the game and the conference not getting a college football playoff berth, which is very possible. Do I think that will happen? No. I think if Duke wins the game, I think they finish ahead of JMU in the rankings. But maybe not. I mean, maybe they win an absolute just gross game and you can't upgrade them too much, and JMU wins by 50 over Troy as a 21-point favorite. And maybe they give the spot to JMU. Maybe you get two group of 5 teams in the college football playoff. North Texas at Tulane, both of those teams will be led by coaches who are departing for the Power 4. Eric Morris going to Oklahoma State. We mentioned John Summerall going to Florida. First meeting for these teams since last year. The winner of this game is definitely in the college football playoff. North Texas is a 2.5-point favorite. Highest total of the week, 67.5. I think Tulane wins. Just my gut. Although the Summerall thing is weird, but it gets canceled out by the fact that Eric Morris is leaving too. So I think Tulane wins. I think they're the better team, but we'll see. So my conference championship week picks, I like the over in UNLV Boise. I like the over in Georgia Bama. And I like Tulane as a dog. I do. So I'll probably roll with that. The other game, there's 2 other games we didn't mention. The MAC, Miami of Ohio, Western Michigan. Western Michigan, a 2.5-point favorite, total 43.5. These teams played about a month ago. Miami won by 9 as a 2-point home favorite. Total was 40, so we've seen a slight tick up on the total. Western Michigan's been the better team this year. They probably win. Miami needed to win a tiebreaker to get into the conference championship game. So under a field goal, I lean Western, but I've not watched much MAC this year. I don't really know much about either team. And then the real shit game of the week is the Conference USA game. Kennesaw State at Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State won by 9 2 weeks ago. They covered as a 3.5-point home favorite. Game went over the total of 56.5, so the total's gone up. Kennesaw State, man, you got to give them credit just for being in this game. They made a 7-win jump this year under their first-year head coach, Jerry Mack, looking to win the league in just their third year at the FBS level. I'm rooting for Kennesaw State, but Jacksonville State probably wins this game.